Good morning, welcome to a morning outlook. This is Kim speaking on Wednesday, the 12th of April. So, looking at the euro dollar first, and the question's got to be: is this a bear flag, or are we seeing a proper reversal on the euro here? Not massively committed to the upside, although there are some signals, and there's certainly been some buy opportunities within these markets. Yesterday, back to the weekly pivot, and well, post that it actually broke through the weekly pivot, but there may be some further upside that we still could run into the daily 8. It's really whether it breaks that daily 8, whether I'd be a bit more bullish on this. It's coincides round about with that 4-hourly 50. Be much more bullish on this market. It's what you can see from the 4-hourlies. We've come up, we've broken the trend line that was running across there, and then pulled back to that, tested it. Now we're seeing a bit of a bounce off it at the moment, so potentially we could see some further upside. We're already through and above the daily pivot here. The R1 would certainly look a good possibility at some point with the yesterday's highs, but you notice how yesterday's highs, it pushed up there quite strong, broke through later in the afternoon, but sold off quite strongly in the next candle, so it sort of gave it all the way back, which is not the strongest sign that you expect in a more bullish markets, and it's sort of more a weakness in a stronger bearish market, I guess. Anyway, we'll see. It may have some upper legs yet, and as I said, we've got the potential for it to run up towards its R1 in this current move. Looking at the downside of this, if it does start selling off, I really would be looking at sort of maybe a bit more confirmation. If it's selling off properly, it's not going to be a lot of pips, I can assure you, from where it is now, even to break this trend line. But maybe if it breaks that 50 MA, the trend line here, we could be seeing more towards that S1, yesterday's low. So really dependent on how it runs this morning. Of course, it could do both. The pivots are very pinched, and the markets are pretty choppy. So looking at cable, and well, cable's a bit more bullish in what it's done here. It's a question: was that a bull flag? Well, it seems to be. It's managed to put in almost looks like maybe a pivot swing there on the dailies. There, certainly looking erring more on the bullish side. It's just broken that trend line on the dailies there. 4-hourly trend line, if you like, as well. Some people were looking at yesterday, broken all through that, and is certainly above its key moving averages here again. So it's above the 50 and 100, 200. So it's moved arguably back into the more bullish territory. I say arguably because, of course, we could see a bit of a dip down this morning. It's this move over through the Asian session, not the most bullish. Of course, it's just been a bit of a holding pattern. Now, if we do break the one of the weekly pivots just above us there, which is where resistance is, if we do break that area, there are a lot of buy orders just beyond it. Initially, there's a really strong sell point, which of course sits there in terms of possible resistance. But if it breaks that, as I say, is a pretty strong order book above, looking bullish. Now, looking to the downside here, as I said, we have got the daily pivot below us, which could be a draw this morning at least. Now, how it reacts to that is another matter as well. If it breaks it, runs through the 200, well, may get a support on the 34, and I'd then be looking at the market again. If it breaks this morning, breaks these lows this morning, maybe looking for a short, which we could be added to maybe on the break of the 21s. Okay, as cable, let's look through now. Dollar yen. Dollar yen's been selling off. It's continued strengthening yesterday. I mentioned this yesterday in terms of the risk-off sort of situation, and it sort of favours the yen, and well, certainly the case. So certainly things aren't, from a political point of view, getting any more relaxed at the moment. Hopefully we'll see some sort of resolution on a few fronts soon, but at the moment, as the tensions are there, there is a possibility this dollar yen will come down towards that daily 200. It certainly seems to be a reasonable target at the moment. Of course, We've sold off pretty much through yesterday. The pivot will be daily pivots above us untouched. There is a bit of divergence going on, has been a bit of divergence going on around these lows. So once again, there's a possibility, just like the pound inverted pound, we could see it sort of run back towards its pivot there. Thereafter, it's a case of looking for opportunities. If it does, again, it may just run back to the 60-21s in this particular case and not break them. It hasn't really tested the simple 21, so it may sort of test that and roll. Aussie dollar, well, it's consolidation. From a 4-hourly perspective, it's pretty sideward price action we're seeing here over the last couple of days. Difficult to really judge much from that. The only thing is that the bigger trend is to the downside, and my preference, if I was trading it, would be for the short side. You see how choppy it is everywhere. It's in a bit of a wedge pattern from this hourly. You can see the trend lines at the lows here running across this point, and then you've got the upper trend line running somewhere here. So it's sitting in this sort of wedgish sort of pattern. Normal technical analysis would suggest to the downside in this current market, it's a bit choppy. It may just break the upside back to the prior highs there and then pull back and sell off. So it's not a trade I'll be looking to take on the break of that trend. It is a currency. It's very choppy through the Asian session. You can see it's through the London session. Yesterday was classic. It just chopped for a long time, had a sell off, then got back in and carried on chopping. So chop. Okay, and finally the Canadian dollar, which just needs to have a quick check at what oil's up to. Look at that, $53.50 a barrel. It's a good reason to put petrol up at the forecourt again, of course. Okay, looking at the Canadian dollar then, well, it's yesterday I was in two minds. I was looking at a potential short yesterday with the idea of selling back down towards the daily 50. At the time, it never really gave a setup. In fact, it rallied shortly afterwards in the afternoon, and then following on from that, we've seen it sell, and it does look like it could roll over at some point here and move down towards that sort of daily 200. It's pretty weak at the moment, but just going at the moment. It's may have to look at the shorter time frames for opportunities there. Just got to be a bit careful around those prior lows. So it does look weak. Okay, news today. We've got the Bank of England Governor Carney speaking at 9 o'clock. It's to a fintech conference. So I'm not expecting a major movement from that, although we could get a bit of volatility. More importantly, though, we've got the UK employment reports coming out at 9:30. We'll be watching this quite carefully. The average earnings is the main number on the people will be looking at. This is expected to come down. It's forecast to come at 2.1 versus previous 2.2. So if it any signs of a slight increase there, could see the pound take off this morning, should I say. We've got Trump speaking at 11 o'clock now, due to discuss healthcare, even tax reform, the Syrian crisis in North Korea. God knows what could happen at that point. At 11 o'clock, I'm just looking. We could get some volatility, that's for sure. And then moving through into the afternoon at 3 o'clock, if you're trading the Canadian dollar, watch out from 3 o'clock to 3:30. In fact, even 4:15, at 3 o'clock, we've got the monetary policy report from the Bank of Canada. And then we've got the crude oil inventories at 3:30. And at 4:15, we've got the Bank of Canada press conference. So plenty to get things moving later on this afternoon. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. Have a great day. I'll be back later. Bye for now.